Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sal. We're going to break down the showdown slate today. I made a video for the showdown slate a few days back when we only had one game, and I pretty much said I hate showdown slates, right? And I still do. But if Draftkings is going to put a 100K prize pool every single night out in the NBA, and yes, it's very hard to get that without time, but it's possible. I'm going to cover it. One, because that's a good amount of money, and it's the only viable option in terms of NBA slates they have tonight. Sure, I'm excited for the PGA tomorrow that's starting, Wells Fargo. Sure, I might play some MLB tonight, but I'm going to be watching the NBA game, so maybe I throw a lineup in there. So might as well cover it. And two, there's 100K on the line, so you guys and girls are going to be interested in seeing what I have to say about it. And I have some actual things to say about it. So the video will be a little bit different than usual. Obviously, like injury news isn't that important here. We'll look at this target offense sheet over my shoulder, and then I'll probably just show my projections for tonight because it doesn't really matter for the most part. You guys already know who's in play. I have only 19 players scoring, I think, 8 or more fantasy points. I then only have 12, I believe, if I'm correct, scoring 15 or more. That's obviously a projection. That's not going to be solid. That's not going to be how it is. But it's just to show you that showdown slates, small player pools, obviously, just 2 teams playing, but they're highly variant. So, if you're new here, my name is Sal. I cover daily fantasy sports in NFL. This is the monologue, right? In NFL, so that's the sleeping giant. Cannot wait for it. I have some cooking up some off-season NFL content in terms of just player rankings. And then I cover the NBA. We're still cracking it along in the playoffs. Finally had my best night last night, and we will get into that because this could have been a very good morning, if not for one thing. And then, I'm going to be covering PGA. I'll probably make a PGA video today. Wells Fargo is back. I have a qualifier ticket. So I'm excited about that, and we're going to continue to cover some of that. MLB, I'm not covering it as much. I think a lot of people out there are covering it, so that's fine. I don't feel like I'm doing a disservice to anybody. I play it more so casually. I do play some of the mid or higher stakes. I know what I'm doing, but I just don't have the time with NBA here right now and doing some other stuff. But now that school's over, maybe I will. But you don't want to know any of that, right? You want to know about the showdown slate. So before we hop into it, hit me with a like button if you're new here. These videos are reaching a whole new audience, the audience of people loving to watch NBA playoff basketball and saying, hey, you know what? Let's play some Draftkings. Let's put something on the line here. It's $10 and we could win some money. So I'm here to help you. I'm here to help, obviously, the returning subscribers. So let's do it. But yeah, quick. Yesterday, finished 10th in the big contest. Finished 10th. My team scored like 312 points. Finished 10th in the 222. So made some decent money, right? And then I got sick to my stomach when I looked at how I needed to win. I lost pretty much both tournaments in terms of like winning first place by around 8 points. Yanis, who I could have fit in my lineups over Harden, even though they're different positions. I could have done it because Middleton is a hybrid and I had him in my lineups. Giannis over Harden yesterday at much lower ownership, who scores about 10 more points than Harden yesterday, wins me at all. And I'm sure many people are saying that today, right? I shared a similar lineup with 2 people. But I tried to get an extra lineup into the big contest, not the 222, but it was filled. And that lineup was going to be Giannis instead of Harden. Since all day I preached that Giannis is still in play. Everybody hates Giannis today, but I have Harden, then KD, then Giannis in terms of projected fantasy points. And Harden and Giannis and KD were very close, right? I had them separated by a point or so. So I already had the Harden and KD lineup. That's what I rolled with my 2 studs. And I wanted to get Giannis and KD just to be a little bit contrarian. You could believe me or not if that's actually what I was going to do, but it stinks. That was a 100K difference. I tried to enter it like 5 minutes before lock, so I wasn't going to get in anyways, and I didn't feel comfortable enough to change it out. So good night overall, but I woke up this morning. I didn't watch any of that late game. These games are starting too late for me. 10:30 at night. I'm getting up at 5:30 in the morning. It's too late. So anyways, but tonight I'll probably watch. It stinks, but we're going to go back at it today. Let's break down into the showdown slate. So target offense sheet, no real injuries to cover. I'm probably going to go right into the projections, but I'm just going to talk about what I see here. Overall strategy for the showdown slate. Again, there's a 2-game slate. Finally, DraftKings was like, okay, let's do a 2-day slate so we can get these 2 games on it. And the top prize is $5K. I don't know if they're going to change that throughout the day. Again, it's only 8 in the morning on the East Coast. I hope they change that, but I likely won't have a video out if the top prize pool is $5K. That'd be like me covering a tiers lineup or a tiers video, and nobody's going to watch that. So it doesn't help me in terms of trying to win the tournament. If I somehow win and beat the odds, I'm only winning $5K. I'd rather win more, right? So for the showdown slate, Denver and Portland, I haven't tried to build a lineup, but I have projections and all that. I've been looking at it a little bit, and I think there's interesting ways to go. Look, in terms of guys who are going to drop 100 spot in the captain spot, it's only Dame and it's only Jokic, in my opinion. I don't think anybody else is going to come out here and score 65 fantasy points tonight. And that's pretty easy to see as you just pick the best player on each team, right? Not that obvious, Sal. But what I'm saying there is A lot of people are going to try and get cute tonight, and maybe that's the way you win. These lineups or these showdown slates are so variant that not having those guys in the captain spot is probably viable. But having both Dame and Jokic in your lineup tonight seems like a must. I don't advise playing cash tonight. If you're using your cash money, your cash bankroll, which cash is like your head-to-heads and your 50-50s for those not familiar. If you're using that, which is a little bit safer of game modes that you play, you win more, a lot more in terms of just the percentage of overall wins, not the actual cash dollar, although that could also be true. So it's your safer bankroll. Why are you playing that in a one-game variant slate where you have no edge for the most part? But you should have Jokic and Dame in it, and that seems like a cashy build, but that's just how it is. For me to try and say, out of 100 times if these teams played tonight, you don't need either of Jokic and Dame, I'd say 0% of the time. Maybe 1% or 0.5%. Both of them get injured or something, or one gets injured and one just Dame shoots like 0 of 10, right? Something ridiculous. I find it hard to believe you don't need at least one of them. And I'd say 90% of the time you need both of them. You need both of them tonight to win. Now, that doesn't say you could have them both in your utility spot, one in the captain, one in your utility spot, but you need both. I'm going to be putting Jokic in. I haven't built a lineup yet, and we can kind of toy around with this. I'm going to be putting Jokic in. You get $6,040 remaining. That's not great, especially when you consider then Dame is 12.4, and now you only have $4,450 left, and you're pretty much Xing out your possibilities of playing McCollum. You're pretty much Xing out your possibilities of playing Murray, although you still can. There's still some good 1K value. So this is where it just gets a little bit interesting. I mean, you come all the way down here, there's good 1K value. Zach Collins, for some reason, is $1,000 today. He played 19 minutes in the last game, and Enes Kanter got his shit kicked in. And Zach Collins is probably also going to get his shit kicked in, but I'm assuming they switch it up a little bit. Collins played 19 minutes in the last game, ran into some foul trouble, as he should have, against these huge, massive guys in Denver. So I imagine he's going to play 22, 24 minutes, if not amp it up a little bit more, because Kanter can't hold his own, and Collins might be a little bit more suited to guard a guy like Jokic, although it's pretty hard to. But you throw a Collins in there, and I imagine a lot of lineups are going to start like this. And now you have $5,600 remaining. Do you really want to play tonight's slate and pay $18 to play and then split it with 1,000 people if that's the winning lineup? And now you're just looking at a situation where every single person is walking away with $100, and you just did a lot of work, and you just did something that is really hard to do, win a tournament, and you're walking away with only $5 extra money. A pretty high buy-in at $18, might I say. It's usually 10, 15 max. And you're going to handhold your way. So you have to be different. And obviously, I've talked about this being different is not playing or not paying all your money. If you're using all of your dollars tonight, there will be somebody else with your lineup, and there will probably be a handful at a minimum of people with your lineup. Leaving $1,000+ on the table is smart. Or building a lineup that is totally contrarian, like as in playing Leonard here, and then you can go up and you can get Kanter here, and now you have $6,400, and you just leave money on the table, and you throw in a Will Barton, and you have $2,800 on the table. And the reason why this is going to be extremely contrarian is you have all three of the Portland big men. All three of these guys could see 20+ minutes tonight, and that's very well. I mean, Kanter probably will. Collins probably will. Myers Leonard only saw like 12 in the last game, but he's $1,400. So this is not a lineup that I'm saying run out there, right? And evidently there's going to be like 1,500 people who watch this, hopefully more. Hit the like button, subscribe, bang, bang. But somebody's going to take this lineup, and this is me just testing out. I have yet to build a lineup. Go ahead, take this lineup. You will probably lose. And I'm not just saying that because I think this lineup stinks, but I have put no effort into it. I'm just saying that because anybody playing tonight will probably lose. Sure, maybe 50 people tied tonight. Maybe that's one of you listening. But for the most part, your odds of winning tonight are extremely low. And even if you do win, your expected value in terms of your ROI, your return, based on what it should be, beating the odds and beating that many people, it's not going to be great because you're going to tie with a bunch of people. So overall, don't play this slate. I'm making this video because I know people want to see my opinion on it. Do not play this slate. But people will because there's a big prize pool, and probably me too. So I'm a bit of a hypocrite. But anyways, so I think it's really hard not to have both Jokic and Lillard in the lineup. I think you're kind of you're setting yourself up to lose in that situation. But if things get wacky and you don't need one of them, then yeah, I think fading Lillard makes more sense. Both of them are going to be playing 40+ minutes today. Lillard probably plays a little bit more. I have him projected for 42. I have Jokic projected for 40. I just think Jokic's ceiling is a little bit more, and the price obviously indicates that, as well as his projection. I have Jokic projected for 60. I have Lillard right around 50. So that's just a difference right there. Outside of that, I mentioned I have 12 guys who are in play today. Do I still have those pictures? Yes, I do. This is a little bit janky the way I'm going to be showing this. But these are my, and screw it, let's just show the projections. So people do pay for the projections over on Patreon. I'm just going to show them, I guess, in this video for free. I mean, it's a showdown slate. It's not really going to help get an edge that much for the people who do pay. I apologize if you don't think that this is fair. I'm sorry. I'm just going to show them. Again, it's a showdown slate. You're not getting much of an edge here if you have these projections because things get wanky. And for the most part, the salaries kind of indicate these projections for a showdown slate. So let's just blow it all the way up. In terms of value, don't pay attention to value. I should really just block this one out. Don't pay attention to value because on a showdown slate, it's not like 5x. You don't care about that. You just want to get the most points. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this. There we go. Let's get everybody in one screen. There you go. So that's everybody. So these are the guys that I projected for any type of points today. So there's 19. There's 19 players projected for any sort of points today. And you can see all the way down here, you have Evan Turner projected for 8 fantasy points. And this is for the utility spot. So, I mean, a quick and dirty way just to get their projected captain spot is to pretty much multiply this range right here. You just multiply that by 1.5 and you get their captain spot in terms of their projection for that. And there's other things you could do. You could do what their ceiling would be, factor that in, but I'm just giving you a median projection. So, yeah, this is what I'm looking at right now. Dame, 47.2, so I thought I had him in a little bit more. Pretty much what I'm looking at, these are just some other stats, and this is what the projections are. You get some other things as well. Actually, no, this is what the projections are. If you get them on Patreon for the NBA, similar things I'll be doing for the NFL. Have a golf stat sheet above my head as well if you want to check that out. The golf stat sheet is actually pretty much up already. I want to switch some things in terms of updating just some newer stats, get them in there. But this is what the projections look like. You can see I've got 19 guys scoring 8 or more points. And obviously, this is not what it's going to end up on. This is based on their matchups, based on what they're doing. What I project to happen tonight on most nights if it was played 100 times. But it's not. It's played one time, and it's an individual game. So really, anything can happen. But on average, this should happen is what based on the season stats. Playoffs obviously make it a little bit more froggy. But in terms of players scoring 15 or more points tonight, well, let's black out these. 15 or more points right here, starting with Zach Collins. And that's it. Now there's some guys at like 14.5, so we can keep them in as well if we really wanted to keep Lilly Beasley in. But some things to talk about. Lilly Beasley scored 28 or had 28 minutes in the last game. A lot of people are going to jump on that and they're going to take that for gospel. That's not gospel. Lilly Beasley got more run. If you check out Popcorn Machine, I believe, and I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, Torrey Craig got in some foul trouble early on. So Torrey Craig coming out because he continued to start. Malik Beasley picked up around 6 or 7 more minutes due to Torrey Craig's foul trouble. Torrey Craig only played 19 minutes in that game. I don't expect that to continue to happen. Malik Beasley played 28. Actually, I think he picked up 7 or 8. So, I mean, if you take out the foul trouble, you have Torrey Craig playing right around 26, 27 like he did in the previous game. Then you have Malik Beasley playing right around 20 or 21, which is usually at. So there's an edge potentially there. More people jump on Malik Beasley tonight. And look, Malik Beasley can very well outscore Torrey Craig tonight. I'm just saying most nights that won't happen because of the foul trouble. Mo Harkless got in foul trouble. He had 4, or no, he fouled out. He had all 6 fouls. And he only played 22 minutes. A lot of people, again, one game slate, ways to find edges. A lot of people might look into that a little bit too much. So maybe playing more Mo Harkless helps you. Alfred Camino, he also, I believe, got in foul trouble, and he just played terrible. Look, the matchup is brutal for him. Whether it's Mason Plumlee off the bench, whether it's Paul Millsap or Jokic, the matchup is just brutal. He's undersized, and he's going to have to stay out there. Played 28 minutes even with foul trouble. Have him projected for 32 today. If people are going to look at game logs, Aminu and Harkless are going to look really bad, and I'm fine going there. Guy like Paul Millsap, I still love today. But again, who is going to have higher ownership? I think the way that just naturally that lineups will be built, if you have both Dame and you have Jokic in your lineups, I think naturally people are going to have to fade Millsap due to his price point. But he's still in a great spot. I think even he got in foul trouble with 4 fouls, only played 28 minutes. He should be playing, I've been projected for 33 minutes today, maybe. Give or take. I wanted to say 34. I wanted to say 32. So just put 33, right? That's what I have him today as a projection. I think that is... maybe it's 34. No, so I did put him in at 34. So this is what I have for minutes projections today. I have Jokic for 40. I have Lillard for 42. Murray for 34. Cantor 32. So I'm giving Cantor a bit of a bump here, but I'm going to be interested to see if any news comes out later in the day because Cantor's just getting his shit kicked in here. But they really have no other options. I imagine that you see Collins probably bumping up a few minutes to around 22 with the foul trouble. That might take away from Cantor, who didn't play. I think he played 33 in the last one. So maybe I come down on Cantor a little bit, but I'm fine staying there. Paul Millsap, I put up to 34. CJ McCollum, 38. I think he plays big minutes. Mo Harkless, I put him right back to his average at 34. He could very easily play 36. Harris, 35 is pretty much his average for the playoffs. and that's what he played in the first game. Aminu, 30. Mason Plumlee, I pulled back a lot. Mason Plumlee played a good amount of minutes, 24, I believe. I think some of that was due to Millsap only playing 28 and having some foul trouble. If you say Millsap goes back to his 34, then you take those 6 minutes away from Plumlee. That's pretty much what I did there. So 18. Torrey Craig, 25, I believe that Torrey Craig. And actually, I can bump Torrey Craig up to 26, really. So let me just go to the minutes tab because if he continues to start Torrey Craig and he doesn't get in foul trouble, which I'm not going to project foul trouble, I think he does fine. So now that gives him a point projection of right under 18, which I think is fine. Zach Collins I have today. I think I was bullish on him. I gave him 20. So let's actually bump Zach Collins up as well because I think he was in some foul trouble, and I don't think he only plays 20 today, especially since his team is so big. I'm going to be a little bit bullish. I'm going to give him 22. Maybe that's not bullish. And that bumps Zach Collins up to 17.2. So that's what we're looking at. This is, again, a different type of video than I normally make, but I just kind of want to give you a look at what I'm seeing. Obviously, it's a showdown slate. Not many options. Don't play this slate. You guys are obviously going to play this slate. But this is just what I'm looking at. You can get these projections. You can get the 2-game slate projections. I will likely be doing those later today. Again, they're on Patreon. You can support me there. You can also just drop. There's a link down below for donations if you feel the need to. But yeah. This is where I'm going with the slate right now. I'm trying to get Jokic in the captain spot, and then I'm trying to get Dame in my lineup. An idea of getting Jokic in the captain spot, and instead of getting Dame in, you can then maybe afford a combo of a Paul Millsap and some mid-range guys like a Harkless and a Harris. I think that makes sense too, but I'm much rather going for the guys who, if this game stays close tonight, it's likely Jokic getting close to a triple-double, scoring 70 real points, which then accounts to over 100 captain spot points. It's Damian Lillard going for close to a 60 burger. Things like that. And then I could fill in the rest of the pieces. CJ McCollum can very well go for 50 fantasy points today, and you put him in the captain spot, and if Jokic doesn't go off, and Jokic only goes for 60 fantasy points, then yeah, that type of lineup is going to win. But more times than not, Jokic is going to get close to his 65 to 70 points in this matchup. Let's not try and forget that he's going up against Enes Kanter, one of the worst defenders, decent rebounder, but one of the worst defenders in the league. And then who else? Al-Farouq Aminu, a guy who's a foot shorter than him and can't play defense for the most part. Who else? Zach Collins coming off the bench, who a little bit better on defense, but not going to stop Jokic, not going to stop Paul Millsap. So that's where I go with this. 220.5 game total. It's a slow pace, but again, we're not comparing it to any other game on the slate unless you're playing that 2-game slate. So showdown slate, keep in mind, leave money on the table if it's still optimal. Now, don't be playing 4 $1,000 price dollar players and then leaving $6K on the table because those 4 guys probably stink or are not even playing. The 1K guys who are in play, and I talked about them very much so, Zach Collins. If you're playing 50 showdown slates tonight, you should have 100% Zach Collins. It's as simple as that. He's $1,000. If he scores 15 fantasy points today, he's needed. And I find it hard to believe he doesn't score at least like 12 to 15 if he gets his 22 minutes as I project. Outside of that, look, you can just scroll over all these other guys down here until you get to Zach Collins, and then Myers Leonard, also in play. Played 12 minutes in the last one, although I don't see him playing that many more minutes. So to me, it's Zach Collins, $2,000 Seth Curry, not really in play for me. He should see, though, close to, mid-teens in minutes, not something I really want to touch. It's Zach Collins in this low range for me. I think you can get very interesting and creative and go with a Zach Collins / Myers Leonard lineup, which then says, okay, let's hope they play Kanter less because he stinks at defending Jokic, or B, let's hope Kanter gets into some foul trouble because then you're going to see a lot of Zach Collins and Myers Leonard. Again, I can't stress it enough, and I just said it, leave money on the table. If you have $200 left on the table, unless you're building a super contrarian lineup, you're going to be splitting the money with people. And again, you leaving $1,200 on the table is not going to now all of a sudden make you have a winning lineup, right? A lot of the time, leaving money on the table isn't optimal. In the lineups that win, don't leave that much money on the table. I'm just saying to increase your odds of actually winning $100,000 tonight, because are you putting $18 in? If I told you right now you're going to put $18 in tonight, and your best chances tonight of winning if you leave $500 or less on the table is you're going to probably win like $200 and split it with a bunch of people. Maybe you like that, but your odds of winning that $200 are so slim that it's a waste of your money. It's a waste of your time. Your expected value is just not great. If you make that decision all the time, you're going to lose way more than you ever win. So, but if I told you, hey, leave 1,000 plus, or even more on the table tonight, and build a decent lineup, and now your chances of winning that 100K are going to go up dramatically, like 5x, or if not better, because so many people aren't going to do that, then I think you might be tilted to go there more. And if I play tonight, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and leave $1,000+ if not more, on the table. I know it's not the most optimal build because I'm going to be playing players that are worse. Like, I'm going to be making decisions, things like playing Will Barton over Aminu or something like that if I want to leave money on the table. Maybe not that extreme, but playing a guy like Aminu over or Harkless over Paul Millsap because it leaves 2,200 on the table. Things like that, where Harkless most nights might not outscore Paul Millsap in this matchup, but if Harkless goes for 35 and Millsap goes for 30, well, look at that, Yahtzee. I have $2,000 on the table, and I'm in a spot to potentially cash or win a tournament because most people were reluctant to leave that much money on the table because when it comes down to it, if you see you can afford this 8K guy, automatically your brain's saying, oh, he's a much better play, which, again, he probably is. That's why he's that much money. But every single night, he's not going to outscore the guy who's still starting and a guy like Harkless who's going to play just as much, if not more minutes than him. So just some things to ponder on. That's the main thing tonight. Again, just to recap, Jokic is interesting to me. So is Damian Lillard. Trying to get them both in your lineup in a way and leaving money on the table seems like an optimal build to me tonight. You can do anything, though. If you really want to put a Paul Millsap in your captain spot, I think that's one of the more sneaky captain plays because in this matchup, if he didn't foul out last game and he played 34 minutes, he was very well on pace for 40-plus fantasy points. And if he has his ceiling game, which is 50, it's going to take away from Jokic. Jokic probably doesn't get his triple-double or his 70-point game. Jokic can still go for 50, but it's less likely that he goes for 60 or 70. And if you have Paul Millsap, you're getting a guy who has a decent ceiling and a good matchup, and he's a cheaper captain spot, so you can build the rest of your lineup out nicely. And two, it's literally direct leverage over the ownership that will be of Jokic in the captain spot. So if Paul Millsap is your captain and he goes off, you're automatically beating out so many lineups because it's going to be taking away from Jokic automatically because he's his teammate and they play alongside each other. Again, for the most part, you could play Jokic and Millsap, but in terms of both of them having their ceiling games, it's going to be very rare for both teammates to have their ceiling games. So that's just one thing that stands out to me. Again, the same can be said about CJ McCollum and Lillard. If you think that you're somebody who wants to kind of get away from the Lillard chalkier play, then going to CJ McCollum, a guy who has been able to score 50-plus fantasy points in these playoffs, although albeit probably a little bit of an easier matchup for him, I think that's fine as well. But that's where I'm at. I wanted to make a quick showdown video, hopefully within the next few hours, that they put out a better contest for the 2-day slate so I can make a video for that before tonight's game kicks off. I don't know why Draftkings doesn't just put a 100K prize pool for the 2-day slate. It would be so much more fun, similar to the NFL. But that's it. I'm going to try and break down this golf now. And then, yeah. So thank you. My name's Sal. You already know it. Hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a comment if you watched the whole video. Peace out, gang.